Well, good morning, folks. This is our day 4 update in the ZL1 Camaro, and I'll tell you, it's kind of funny because we keep driving this thing around, and yesterday was not a competition driving day. Yesterday was a go to the grocery store, run around town, run errands kind of day, much like this morning. However, this morning it's been raining here in lovely sunny Southern California, so later we're going to get a chance to play with the wet traction control settings and see how well those work with a car that's got this kind of power number. But so far we love the car. We're really I seriously would own this car and drive it every day and be perfectly happy. It gets mediocre gas mileage, but so does my Suburban. Everything else I own is old. This is technically better for the environment. And it garners a lot of attention. I mean, let's face it, it's a pretty badass looking car with the big carbon fiber center in the hood and the giant scoops in the hood and all of that stuff. So people really dig this thing. We've driven it around. A couple of things that I noted is that, you know, I'm used to driving really low cars. This is not a low car, not by my definition anyway. But nonetheless, it's got a splitter and an air dam on the front of it that, you know, I didn't want to tear off when I went to Radio Shack yesterday. So I very carefully pulled up to the curb and then got out and checked it to see where we were at. And it turns out that I was about this far from the curb, but the air dam was about 3/8 of an inch, or half an inch to 3/4 of an inch higher than the curb. So technically it would slide over that, and I'm sure that GM, you know, engineers that for whatever the hell a standard curb height is. But one other thing I wanted to comment on that just happened, and I did it on purpose obviously, is to get the skip shift to happen. You notice that I went from 1st to 4th gear. You really have to grandpa this thing in order for the skip shift function, which is for gas mileage and emissions and all that stuff, to happen. It does not happen hardly at all driving this car. So I don't know if GM has different settings for a ZL1 versus regular Camaros with a stick shift in them in order to activate the skip shift. But again, we haven't run into it. It is not annoying because, like I said, I'm never apparently at that low a RPM, except right there when turning the corner. But we're not doing competition driving with this car today. Obviously it's raining, but the plan is tomorrow evening at Adams Motorsports Park on their little road course. We're going to take it out. We're going to have some fun with it there. We may actually be doing some data logging with this thing there, which would be a fun deal. There's a bunch of cool features in this thing that, quite frankly, we just haven't taken advantage of yet, and I should have at the autocross, honestly, with some lap timers and all of that kind of thing that this car offers. So we're going to test all of those things out and show you how those work when we go to Adams Motorsports Park tomorrow evening. I haven't found any big gripes on the car. I will tell you that it is very stiff. It rides nice, but when I say it's stiff, if you go into a steep driveway at a severe angle, this car will pick up in our case, usually the right rear tire off the ground. I mean a lot off the ground. It's really kind of entertaining. So it is a very stiff chassis car, and the suspension travel clearly not as much as the Z71 that Brian's testing right now, but a fun car to drive. Everybody that rides in it really likes the Recaro seats. I really like the Recaro seats, and as I've said, I would drive this car every day. I would own this car. If I could afford this car but just barely afford it, I wouldn't just buy it. There are other cars on my list for sure, and cars I own that I'd like to finish. But if I had the budget and I was looking for a new hot rod to buy, I would buy this car. It will hold 4 people. We've had our 2 kids in the back seat, both of whom one is 5'9", the other one is 5'5". They're not big, giant people, don't get me wrong, but nonetheless, they rode in it comfortably to dinner. And so, again, I would own this car. If this is the type of car you're looking for, this one is a pretty neat deal. And we're early on. We're only day 4 in our testing, and so it could come around and piss us off at some point. But so far, 2 thumbs up for the ZL1 Camaro. We dig it. It's BangShift approved at this point.